not the Kiwi bird. It doesn't look good like that.
Oh.
Hey guys, welcome to actually I think it's 73rd session of questions about traveling in New Zealand. So 73, that's a big number. Anyway, my name is Robin and this is Laura, and we're here to help you plan your trip to New Zealand because we kind of are the experts of planning a trip in New Zealand. But why are we the experts, Laura?
Well, we're the team behind NZPocketGuide.com, which is New Zealand's largest travel guide and literally has thousands and thousands of articles free for you guys to check out, again, at NZPocketGuide.com. We have articles on all things, like all travel styles to do with New Zealand, whether you're just doing a 2-week road trip around both the North Island or the South Island, or if you're staying here for a full year doing a working holiday. We literally cover all that on that website. But if you are really into reading thousands and thousands of articles, then we also do this live Q&A session every single Sunday at 8 a.m. New Zealand time on YouTube, so you guys can come onto the live chat and ask your questions directly to us. But if you do miss out on one of the sessions, we also pull questions from our comment section of any of our videos on YouTube, so we can go through that as well. But just so you know, times around the world, like I said, we do this live session at 8 a.m. New Zealand time on a Sunday. But in the UK and France, that's on a Saturday around 9-10 p.m. on a Saturday evening. In the US, that is 4 p.m. EST or 1 p.m. PST on a Saturday afternoon. In India, that is 1:30 a.m. on a Sunday. And in Australia, that is 6 a.m. on a Sunday.
Here you go. All right. So if you're not into reading, Laura was saying if you're into reading, if you're not into reading, you can watch this video. But if you're into reading, it's www.nzpocketguide.com. All right. What is happening in the live chat? There's a lot of people. Also, Mustafa Kasim, how are you doing today? He says, first view, big fan. In just 1 minute reply. Well, here you go.
Yeah, hey.
How are you doing, Mustafa? Then we also have Timothy Rampala that says, hello from New Zealand. New Zealand loves you all. So yeah, everybody loves everybody. I love that. Thanks for spreading the positivity, Timothy. Very much appreciated. Aju Jacob says, and in Dubai it's 12 a.m. Aju, what are you doing awake at this time? Go to bed.
Apologies for the inconvenient timing.
But welcome on board, Aju. Thanks for joining us. That's really awesome. Anthony Comstock say, hi from California. How are you doing, Anthony?
Hey.
USA, when is the best time to visit the North Island and not have to deal with snow? Well, the good thing is that North Island doesn't have that much snow in winter, even in the heart of winter in New Zealand. So winter in New Zealand is?
That is between June and August.
All right, so that's June, July, August, right? Yeah. That's the heart of winter in New Zealand. But even within those 3 months, you will only see snow in very, very selected places. And usually it's in the central North Island when you have the 2 beautiful volcanoes.
Yeah, so you actually only see snow on the mountains, and the highest mountains in the North Island is the volcanoes of Tongariro, Mount Nauhoi, and Ruapehu, which is right in the center of the North Island. You might have heard of the Tongariro crossing, and that usually, if you want to do it in winter, you would have to have a guide to especially go over because it's all snowy. And the other mountain in the North Island is Mount Taranaki, which is in the Taranaki region. So literally that's the only places you're going to see snow. So if you avoid those places and drive everywhere else, it is pretty much, it's very unlikely that you'll come across any snow, basically.
So is there a way you can explore most of New Zealand, most of the North Island of New Zealand in winter without being hindered by the snow whatsoever, especially when driving?
Yeah, well, there's especially if you're sticking to coastal regions. But as you probably know, New Zealand has a maritime climate. It's an island, so you don't really experience snow like you do in some of the larger countries around the world. So yeah, just driving around anywhere apart from those mountainous areas that we talked about, Tongariro and the middle of Taranaki, then you're going to be absolutely fine. You're not going to come across any snow whatsoever.
Here you go, Anthony. So you don't need to panic about the snow in the North Island of New Zealand. Now, if you have to pick the best, avoid the snow for sure in the North Island of New Zealand, then at this point, just travel in summer in New Zealand.
Yes.
And the summer months in New Zealand are?
It is between December and February. So it's December, January, and February.
I will keep doing that, just so you know.
Yeah, I know. I can see that.
All right. So I hope that helps. That helps, Anthony. And if you have any follow-up, obviously, go ahead. All right. Tige. Oof, I am so sorry about your name, my friend.
I feel like you didn't even give that a proper go there.
Tige. How would you pronounce that? Ksitij.
Kashichi.
Kashichij. Okay, Kashichij. Kashichij Shashdeva says, what do you prefer, to rent caravan or car? Will there be the rent? What will be the rent, and which company is best? Coming for a honeymoon for 3 weeks. All right, so it really depends on your needs, right? So first up, you wouldn't be able to rent caravans in New Zealand. It would be a campervan, right? So that would be between campervan and car rentals. And we have a full video on this channel where we actually compare both of the options, and we also talk about different prices. Bear in mind that will extremely vary between which season you're going to be traveling in New Zealand. So my tip for you will be to watch this video. So to find it is really easy. You type car, campervan, NZ Pocket Guide on YouTube, and you'll find the video straight away. Once you watch this video, you probably will have some follow-up questions, and we're here to help you. Just come back and tell us what's the question, and we're here to help. Diksha Guy say, can we plan our honeymoon trip this year in December? And what will be the approximate budget in case we plan for 3 weeks? First, congratulations. Awesome. Coming to New Zealand for a honeymoon in December.
Yeah.
So what do you think? December this year?
I would say, I mean, you can start making some rough plans, but I wouldn't go booking anything until there's actually some concrete news on whether the borders are open or not. I mean, like I say, you can sort of make rough plans, plan like where you want to go, maybe what companies you want to use and stuff. But yeah, bear in mind that at the moment, it's pretty much all up in the air in terms of when the borders are going to open, and we can't say to you like, yeah, December's going to be fine, because honestly, we just don't know, and I don't even think the New Zealand government know either at this point.
And when it comes down to budget, Diksha, you need to give us a little bit more context right here. We need to know what type of travel you want to do, what type of activity you want to do, how you want to go around New Zealand, what do you want to see. It depends. Everybody is very different. We sometimes have traveled around New Zealand for 3 weeks, just the travel part in it for about like 1,500, like really on the cheap. And done quite a few things, but sometimes it takes $10,000. It really depends, on what's gonna be your plan. So you really kind of need to give us a little bit of context. So if you don't mind giving us context right now in the live chat, we'll be super happy to help.
Yeah.
Sander De Vries, how are you doing today? Says, how is the backpacker job market? I'm currently at home in the Netherlands, but when we are allowed to fly again, I want to go back to New Zealand on a working holiday visa and want to find a job there ASAP. So keep in mind that you can't find a job ASAP in New Zealand. You need to go through all the processes first. So you need to open your bank account, you need to get your phone number, you need to get your IRD number. So it takes a few weeks even to be able to get started on looking for a job. Aside from that, the job market in New Zealand for backpackers, it's really good. A lot of picking jobs are available right now. There's not enough workers basically in the country because nobody can get in. So basically, it's perfect. So as soon as you come, you will be able to find a job quite fast. But bear in mind, it's never ASAP. So when you arrive, Sanders, just go to places like Tauranga, for example, and you can stay in working hostels like the Pacific Lodge Backpackers, for example, in Tauranga, and they'll find you a job really quickly. But you have to have done all the paperwork before, and the paperwork takes time.
Yeah. And also, we have tons of videos on this channel about finding a job and working holiday advice and all that sort of thing. So make sure you check out our other videos on the channel, because we have loads of advice about that.
We have a lot of video. Actually, I was seeing today that we have actually 870 video on this channel. 870 videos. How crazy is that? So we have about 3,000 articles for you on nzpocketguide.com and 870 videos on this channel. That is quite a lot. Clay, hey, good morning, Clay. How are you doing? It says good morning also. Good morning to everybody from Clay, and good morning, Clay, from us. Anthony says, I'm fine, a little tired of the lockdown, but your answer helped. We're very happy to help.
Good.
We always always here to help you guys plan your trip to New Zealand. And I think it's really good that you guys are currently planning your trip. You know, we know that the borders are going to reopen. You know, it's not
at some point. Yeah,
it's not a matter of if, but a matter of when. So we know it's reopening, and it's great that you guys are getting prepared, so you get to have an epic trip in New Zealand. All right, so while you guys are getting some questions ready for us in the live chat, we actually did receive some questions throughout the week. And we did receive a question from David. Laura, do you want to read it?
Yes. So David asked on YouTube, "Hi guys, thanks so much for an amazing information that you guys are giving us. Well, I am an undergraduate international student and I'm planning to take a master's degree in construction, also to settle in New Zealand after finishing the program by the end of next year. But I'm still thinking or confused about which city I must go. I have an idea about Hamilton or Tauranga because I'm seeking for jobs, business opportunities, cost of life. Thank you so much for your help."
All right, so basically in this video, we're going to need to compare life in Tauranga and in Hamilton. And both cities are located in the north end of New Zealand, and they're actually not too far from each other. They're about like couple of hours drive.
Yeah, it's only about 2 hours drive.
All right, so they're both a little bit south of Auckland, and they're both going to have really different kind of appeal. So because we are a travel channel, just before we start talking about job opportunities or anything like that, we're going to give you a little bit of the few first fun things to do in those cities. Laura, do you want to start with Hamilton? What is there fun to do in Hamilton all around?
Yeah, so Hamilton is a pretty central city, and what is so cool about that is that it's really close to some really good attractions that you might have heard of. For instance, Waitomo, if you've heard about the Waitomo caves with the glowworms and the caving activities, that is only, I think it's less than 2 hours away in one direction. Or if you're a Lord of the Rings fan, you can go to Hobbiton, which is maybe only an hour away in the other direction. And
what if you're into surfing?
And if you're into surfing, you can also make your way to the little town of Raglan, which is famous for its consistent surf and all the surf schools it has there. So that's only under 2 hours away as well. So basically Hamilton's a really good base if you want to explore the North Island. And in terms of what's actually in the city, you have all your usual city things and entertainment like that, but they're also famous for their gardens, the Hamilton Gardens, which are different themed gardens. It's a free attraction to go to as well, which is always handy if you're a student. And it's also famous for the Waikato River, which is the longest river in New Zealand, and they have a really good number of hikes and bike trails and stuff that go along the river. So that's always a fun thing to do actually in the city as well.
All right, and then we have Tauranga on the other hand, very different pace of life. What is there fun things to do in Tauranga?
So Tauranga is actually on the coast of the North Island, like we said before, about a couple of hours away from Hamilton. And Tauranga is a really good place to go if you want to sort of live in a city that's maybe a little bit more scenic. There's one of the famous suburbs there is Mount Maunganui, which has a bit of a volcanic mountain. You can go and hike up to get some really awesome views. It has long sweeping golden sand beaches. If you're really into the beach and stuff, they have all that there. So yeah, basically Tauranga's a really good place if you want to sort of be in a place that's just, I don't know, it's just a better looking city than Hamilton, if that's not too controversial to say.
Yeah. Oh, well, you know, you've got to have an opinion at some point. So, yeah. So job-wise, both cities are also extremely different. Because Tauranga is very close to some of the most known kind of part-time jobs or seasonal jobs in the country, which is anything to do with kiwi fruit picking. So there is picking, there is packing, there is pruning, there is ton of things,
all
and there is
in
everything in between all that. And all of that is only a few minutes away drive from Tauranga, and that allows you to almost guarantee yourself a job when you do need one. Also, it's quite flexible. So if you're planning on either being a student or wanting to save quite a lot of money, you can literally just do that for like a day a week or something like that. They always need some workers. So you always can fall back onto this kind of industry as well. But Tauranga is also a very touristic kind of city. As Laura mentioned, it is a coastal city. So there is a lot of things to do here with tourism, and that attracts a lot of people, but that also creates a lot of jobs. any kind of hospitality jobs is extremely prominent in Tauranga. It's everything between from working in motels, on the cleaning, on the receptions, porters, all those kind of jobs, as well as more on the kind of retail side. So, restaurants and waiters and dishwashers and all those kind of things. Speaking of retail is also extremely prominent in Tauranga. It is one of the largest cities of New Zealand, and so is Hamilton. So there is a lot of shopping malls, and when there is shopping mall, they also need a lot of retail workers. Retail work encompasses a ton of different things. That's stacking the shelf, cashier, salespeople, warehouse, deliveries, all those kind of jobs as well. Extremely available in the area of Tauranga, and they need a lot of help for that. So there is a few major shopping centers around Tauranga. So there is the Mangatapu Shopping Center, there is Goddard Shopping Center, and there is also Bayfair. Oh, God, what is going on? Bayfair. I don't know why my piece of paper is flying all around.
The ghosts.
Yeah, there's a ghost in this house right here. All right, so that's for Tauranga, and that's kind of like the job market there. Now, the one thing I need to keep in mind is that usually finding a place to rent in Tauranga is a little bit more on the expensive side, and you have to keep that. You have to keep that in mind. The housing market in Tauranga is a bit tough, so expect to pay more for rent in Tauranga than you would be paying in Hamilton. Which is my perfect segue to talk about Hamilton.
Wow.
So I didn't see that coming.
No.
So Hamilton, one of the good points of Hamilton is that because there is a ton of students over there, there is also a ton of affordable housing because, well, students need affordable housing. So you will be able to find some places for rent a little bit cheaper than you will be able to find in Hamilton. So in Tauranga. In Hamilton, the one thing you need to keep in mind for the job market is that, well, there is a lot of students. So therefore, there is going to be a little bit more competition for job, but there is a ton of jobs available there. There are a few industry-related jobs for sure. There is a few farming jobs in the greater Hamilton area. It has a lot of dairy and a lot of other type of farming, so you can get those jobs quite easily as well. And then in the city center, there is ton of retail work, way more retail work and cafe work and everything. That's what we were talking about in Tauranga. There is some really, really big shopping centers, such as Chartwell, Center Place, and Te Awa Shopping Center. They're pretty big, and that needs a lot of workers in there. So it's really handy to find jobs. Like I personally really like when looking for a job to be able to hit one place, like kind of a big shopping area, and have ton of options right there, rather than having to travel quite far and wide to try to find some jobs. So that's really handy. Hamilton also do have quite a fair bit of accommodation and hospitality jobs available because it's kind of a big conference kind of area of New Zealand. There is major conferences of New Zealand that actually happen in Hamilton and not in Auckland. I'm thinking, for example, of something called the Field Days, which is the largest farming conference in New Zealand, and it's happening in Hamilton every year. I don't think it's happening this year, but obviously. So at that point, there is a lot of motels and hotels that need a lot of staff, and again, that's housekeeping, receptions, porters, and everything in between. And there is also quite a fair bit of cafes, but that would be more to like the bulk of the hospitality job would be more on the accommodation kind of side for Hamilton. When it comes down to comparing both cities, it really depends on what's going to be your vibe, and I cannot stress enough that I think you should travel a little bit to both cities to get yourself an impression. Don't you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. And the good thing about those two cities, like we already said, is that they're only a couple of hours apart. So it's very easy to travel between the cities. There are intercity buses that go between them, which is the national bus network of New Zealand. That's a cheap way to get between those cities. Or you might want to consider buying yourself a car once you arrive in New Zealand, which we have all that advice on nzpocketguide.com, as well as some videos on this channel.
All right. And yes, obviously what she says, if you want to dive deeper into we have so much content on nzpocketguide.com and on this channel, so check it out, or just give us some more questions on the comment of any of our videos and we'll pick them up during the live chat. Or if you're watching live right now, just put it in the live chat and we read all the comments. And obviously, if you guys find this video useful, if you find this live session useful, if you find what we do useful, a free way to reward us for all our hard work is to click like, is to subscribe, is to share a little bit of what we do. It's always super helpful. All right, let's go back to live chat. What has been happening? Sanders say thanks. Aju, is it Aju or Aju? I need to figure this one out. why does New Zealand calculate everything weekly? I mean, the sharing of flat rent and the electric bill too weekly. So the power bill is actually monthly. The internet is actually monthly. A lot of the paycheck are actually bi-weekly, so every 2 weeks, which is quite interesting. When you are renting a place, it's usually weekly as well. It just really depends. I think it's really arbitrary. To me, and obviously, we immigrated into New Zealand, right? So we came from a different culture. It makes no sense. You either have everything monthly, everything weekly, but it's just there's a few things in between. But sometimes you get some phone plans. On your cell phone, you can buy 4 plans. Well, sometimes it's weekly, sometimes it's monthly, and even the same company, one company will have weekly and monthly plans. So it gets, it does get confusing sometimes.
I guess it's just what people are. If some people aren't really comfortable with forward planning, there's usually, just doing a weekly is usually, I guess, the way lots of New Zealanders prefer to do things. But I'm not really sure if there's an actual defining reason why it is like that.
All right. Winterfire, say hi.
Hi. I see he's an Arsenal fan.
Arsenal, what is that?
It's a football club from the UK.
Okay, I know sport. Oopsie. Extreme Talota, how are you doing? Morena. So Morena, if you guys don't know, that means good morning in Maori. So how are you doing? Thanks for joining us another week. That's awesome. All right, so Diksha was trying to plan a 3 weeks honeymoon around New Zealand in December, and he's asking us a few questions and giving us a bit of context to try to evaluate a little bit of a price for him. So we want to cover both the North and the South Island and cover most of the adventure activity like bungee jump, skydive, heli hike, etc., and including hotel and travel by car rental. And what is preferably for a honeymoon couple, a hotel or Airbnb? I think you should stay in hotel. Airbnb are all over the place in New Zealand. The quality is all over the place. So if you want to have like a really nice honeymoon, just stay with hotel. So you know what? I'm going to do a little bit of math for you just to see right now. Calculating prices right here. So you want to stay for 3 weeks, right? So 3 weeks is 21 days. Now we're going to calculate the average for like 1 day, and then we're going to extrapolate that to 21 days just to kind of have a rough idea, right? So your car rental in December is the height season of New Zealand, so you will have a hard time finding a car under, let's say, about $70 a day.
Yeah, I'd say it'll probably be around $100 a day or something.
So I'm going to put 90. I'm going to cut it in half. So that's going to be 90. Then you have to actually include some gas right here. So usually when we travel around New Zealand, we actually have to go to refuel the car about every 4 or 5 days, right? And it costs between $100 and $120. It depends on the time, right? So I'm going to give you $20 per day for gas. Then you're going to need to calculate. You say you want to do adventure activities like bungee jumping, skydiving, heli hike. So for example, bungee jumping is about $200. Skydiving is about $400. Heli hike is about between $400 and $500 as well. So you're going to have a lot of like expensive activities, because all the activities that you just mentioned are above for like, $200-$400. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a budget of $200 per day for activities. That means that someday you're just going to do a hike, but that means that you're going to save this $200 and you'll be able to put the $200 of the next day plus that get $400 and be able to do an expensive activities. So I'm going to give you $200 per day for activities. Because it's a trip of a lifetime into your honeymoon.
That's definitely the high end of how much budget you would have for activities. So that's basically doing mostly expensive activities like you've listed.
But we never had anyone that says I want to do most of the activities.
Yes.
All right, so we're going to do that. Now for hotel, a hotel room every single night, or even Airbnb, to be fair, the prices are very similar. It's going to cost you about between $150 and $200, right? Yeah. On this one, I'm going to go on the low end to compensate a little bit for the high end for the activities. So I'm going to give you $150 a day. So far we are $90 for your car rental. We are $20 for you guys. We are $200 for your activities. We are $150 for your accommodation. And now we need to add your food. So usually eating at a cafe to get breakfast for 2 people is going to be about $20 a pop. So that's $40. $40 for breakfast.
If you're staying in a hotel, however, they're very likely to have breakfast included.
Okay, so I'm not going to do breakfast whatsoever. Yeah. I'm going to do the same thing for lunch. So for lunch it's going to be about $25 per person, isn't it? And about $30 to $35 per person for dinner. So that's making it about $60 per person per day for food. So I'm adding 120 to this number. So that's giving us a total of 580. 580 times 21. That's 12,180 New Zealand dollars for the trip that you just described. On average, obviously, it depends. You can cut corners in some places and everything. And know that when we actually give you cost for cars and everything, we include the insurance and all those kind of things. So here you go. That's a must. So $12,180 for you, Diksha. Thank you. I take cash and credit. But yeah, if you have any other questions, Diksha, just go ahead. Or if you want us to adjust a little bit your estimate, just go ahead, and we are happy to do that with you. And on top of that, if you actually do want some money saving tips, you can actually find on nzpocketguide.com, because I'm pretty sure if you follow our tips on the website, you'll be able to shave quite a few thousands.
You will
of
definitely,
that. Okay, my news is for you too. Hello, Robin and Laura. In November, December, we visit New Zealand, north and south. We want to stay 2 days in or near Abel Tasman National Park and visit Whakariki Beach. Question, what option would you suggest and places to stay? Yeah. So there is quite a few places. So from Nelson, Mararo, and Golden Bay. Laura, do you want to walk? My news is for you too.
Yeah, so for places to stay, there is on the
Give me the map. I'm gonna draw while you talk.
Okay, so at the southern end of, is it the southern end? Yes, the southern end of the.
So this is National Park, let's say right here.
Yeah.
About that.
So obviously this is very rough, but you have basically two sides of the Abel Tasman National Park you can stay. You can stay on the side that is closest to Nelson and some of the closest towns.
So this one will be Nelson here?
Yeah. So one of the closest towns is a place called Kai Teri Teri, which
will be this one here.
Yeah, which has quite a few accommodations there, as well as water taxis that would take you into the Abel Tasman National Park. Now, on the other side of the Abel Tasman National Park is a place called Golden Bay, and the main town of Golden Bay is called Takaka, and that is where you will be able to access Whakariki Beach.
Can you, let's say, stay on this side right here, which is more convenient for all those tours, and still access Whakariki Beach with some tours?
No.
No.
No, you cannot.
That's the correct answer.
Yeah.
I thought you knew that, sorry. So no, you cannot. So if you do want to go to Whakariki Beach, you need to be in Takaka. Now, the good thing with Takaka is that there are still some tours that will take you kayak and go explore the Abel Tasman National Park. And you can find those videos on the channel. We've done all of those. So we've done the tours that go to Whakariki Beach. We've done the tours that actually takes you in kayak to the Abel Tasman National Park from Takaka. And actually, usually they're much less crowded. So if you do have the extra time and you do really want to go and explore that, take the drive up the Takaka Hills, which is kind of like a really long, windy drive, but it's really scenic. You can stop along the way. There's some really fun things to check out, including some amazing blue pools. And Laura will tell you more about that in a minute. And so if you do know that you want to see Whakariki Beach, our strong advice is to actually stay in Takaka.
Yeah.
And then take your tours and explore the Abel Tasman National Park from there. So you do everything from Takaka. You also see Whakariki Beach, and then you can keep on going with your journey. Now, what can you see along the way? Like, can you make it an adventure driving from here to here just as part of your trip?
Well, yeah. So to get